Hello, today we are going to discuss the warehouse distribution problem. The topics we are going to talk about are objectives of the project, indicators and desired decision variables, assumptions of the model, logic of the processes, video of the model, verifications and validations, optimization strategy, results and recommendations. Processes. The first process is for local distribution with continuous strategy. This process works in the input node of each country. And this process can enter two types of entities, a person or cases. If a person entered to the process, it means that wants to buy a case. So the next step is verifying the inventory. If there is enough to fulfill the demand, the sale is made. That means the inventory decreases in factor of the demand. After this action, the level of the inventory must be compared with the ROP. If the inventory is below the ROP, the country places a new order to Asia. If not, the process ends. In the other scenario, if there is not enough to fulfill the demand, but the inventory is different to zero, all the cases in existence are given to the customer and the unsatisfied cases are counted. But if the entity that enters in the input node is a case, the inventory of the country increases. For the periodical strategy, the only thing that changes is this part, because the level of inventory is not checked every time a sale is made. Instead of this, there is a policy of checking it every certain day.
The second process is for centralized distribution. In the case of the countries, it's the same process as the local distribution with continuous strategy. But for the distribution center, Panama or Miami, there is a new process with similar logic. In this case, there are two kinds of entities that could enter to the input node of the distribution center, and shipment, that are orders that come from Asia, or end case, orders that comes from the countries. When an end case enters to the node, the first step is to verify the inventory. If there is enough to provide all the cases in the order, delivery is made to the country and the inventory of the distribution center decreases. Next, it is necessary to verify if the inventory level is below the ROP. If it's so, a new order is placed to Asia. If not, the process ends. By the other side, if the inventory is not enough but is different to zero, a partial order is delivered to the country and the distribution center accumulates the difference between demand and the cases sent to the country to deliver these cases when there is enough inventory. But if the entity that enters the node is an end shipment, the inventory of the distribution center increases and the incomplete demands of the countries are sent. In this step, it's important to check the level of inventory every time a new order is delivered to the country, in case it's necessary to set another order to Asia. As the previous process, for the periodic strategy, the only thing that changes is this part, because the level of inventory is not checked every time a sale is made. Instead of there is a policy of checking it every certain days. Cost and income calculation. Total cost. Manufacturing cost and reorder place cost is calculated every time a new order is placed to Asia. Travel cost is calculated every time a new order is delivered either to a country or a client. Inventory holding cost. It is calculated once a day. Operating cost is calculated for every case delivered either to a country or a client. The total cost is calculated every time that any of these costs changes. Accumulate income is calculated every time a case is sold to the process Every time a case is sold, the process multiplies demand and the price of sale. Verifications and validations. To be sure that the model actually works, some validations and verifications have been made. As you can see in the model, the logic is evaluated with the colors and animation of the entities. As you can see, the entity person just entering the input node of the servers of the country. The entity cases travel only where it's supposed to travel, so the entity shipments. Some labels have been used to verify the change in inventory every time a sale is made or a new order entered. Another similar label shows the change in income and cost. Another extra validation have been made in Excel with the information of the demands and cost. As you can see in local distribution, the difference between the model in Simio and Excel is just 4%, and in regional distribution the difference is 7%. Optimization strategy. The add-in use is the OpQuest for Simio. The control use were ROP and order size for each location. For periodic strategy, days to check the level inventory were added. Responses. Maximize the profit as a primary response and minimize percentage of lost sales. The number of replications were from 5 to 20, and the number of scenarios were 150. Results. The first indicator to analyze is the revenue by distribution and inventory strategy. As you can see in the graphic, the most profitable option is a local distribution with a continued inventory strategy. This scenario produces 346 billion of CRC in revenue. The second best option is a local distribution with a periodic strategy, which produces 343 billion of CRC in revenue. Another important indicator is the profit lost and the percentage of loss. As you can see in the graphic, the scenario with lowest profit loss is a distribution center in Miami with periodic strategy, which produces a total of 11 billion of CRC in profit lost. This is also the one with the lowest percentage of loss with 2.2%. It means that this scenario has the best service level. In the second position is a distribution center in Panama, with a periodic strategy which have a total profit loss of 12 billion of CRC and a percentage of loss of 2.24%. Now that the four best scenarios based on the financial indicators are known, it is necessary to compare the confidence intervals of the mean of each indicator. This graphic shows the intervals of the revenue for the four best scenarios. As you can see, the confidence interval for the local periodic strategy interlaces with the one of the local continuous strategy. This means that there is no significant difference between the revenue of both strategies, but it's clear that these revenues scenarios are much better than those of the Panama and Miami periodic. This other graphic shows the intervals of the percentage of loss. As you can see, the intervals of Miami periodic, Panama periodic, and local continue interlace to each other. This means that there is no statistical difference between the percentage of loss of these three scenarios. Change in the demand. If the expected demand drops by 50% in Uruguay and Paraguay for 8 weeks, but increases in Costa Rica and Guatemala by 30% for the same period, and we react by ordering more inventory to the new countries and stopping shipments to South America, the percentage change in demand is 79% for local distribution and periodic strategy. As we can see, this is the best scenario followed by local distribution with continued inventory. Now that it's clear that the local distribution with continuous strategy is the best option, the indicators and decision variable are shown in this table. As you can see, the most profitable country is Guatemala, followed by El Salvador, and the lowest income is given by Jamaica and Costa Rica. In the next table, you can see the reorder point and the order size for each country. Recommendation. First, a local distribution strategy is recommended with a continued inventory. At the centralized distribution center is the best option consider the cost incurred by the company. The continued reorder point strategy is the best way to fulfill the demand of cases, since there are no costs involved to check the inventory. Increase sales in Jamaica and Costa Rica. The lowest incomes are in Jamaica and Costa Rica, so the company should investigate some techniques to increase the sales performance. Improve performance in South American countries. According with the result, the countries of South America has problem with fulfill the inventories because it takes so much time to set an order. In this case, the company could find another supplier to provide the product to get better performance.